Heiko talk about the Soviet Union. China, as the beginning of the foundation, from 1950 to 1959, 1960s, the Soviet Union introduced and have a lot of the support from Soviet Union. The Soviet Union helped China set up the completely industry systems. But that industry system doesn't work for a long time. Until 1980, 1990, 1985, the country is still poor. I talk about that. What's coming from outside of China make China become the second largest economy. That's a four. One is a foreign investment. Second one is the international market. Third one is advanced technology. Fourth one is efficient management practice. You need that four things to make China economic take off. In the past 40 years, every year, the GDP grows two digit for the last 40 years, last 30 years. That's a miracle. I used to work for the international companies. I work for the American companies. I work for the German company. I work for the, not Starbucks, for the Switzerland companies. Those companies invest a lot of money in China. But before that, China is a poor country. The Heiko side, the capitalists do not take over China, but capitalists become a part of China. Capitalists help China a lot. The foreign investment, most of it come from the United States. UK. United States is the biggest investor for the foreign investment from China, but most of them come through in Hong Kong. Hong Kong is a very, very key place for Chinese economy take off. Like Taiwan helped China a lot. Like the Taiwan semiconductor manufacturer, they invest a lot in the south part of China, like Guangzhou, Shenzhen. And China high technology development benefit a lot from the capitalism. They are kept from the Silicon Valleys, from United States. And as well, a lot of Chinese students, they go to the UK, go to the United States, go to the Europe. Okay, get educations. Yeah.
Okay, you want to come in a wee bit, just a wee bit. Is my voice, I'm sorry about my voice. I did a walk until this morning, used my voice and then that earlier on.
Well, you need capitalist enterprise, you see. You haven't had a voice.
So, let's get to some fundamentals to understand what we mean by economy. So, an economy is basically people working to make things. Now, how they make those things is determined by the technological level and the skill involved. The idea of Karl Marx was that communism would come about when you have the highest productivity of labor, the most machinery per worker to produce the most things in the least amount of time. Everything, according to Marx, is about productivity of labor. What is the average productivity of labor in a society, which is determined by the ratio of man to machine. That's the relationship. So that's the reason why Marx thought that the communist revolution would begin in France, be continued in England, and finish in England and Germany. So the three countries that were the most developed capitalist countries would be the first countries to turn communist. This was the theory of Karl Marx. When the revolution happened in Russia, the opposite was forced upon the Russians, upon the Soviets. They were in a society in which the productivity of labor, average per capita, was far below that in Germany, Britain and France. And that's why Lenin argued that the only way to make communism in Russia was for the revolution in Germany, in England, France, America and Japan to come to the assistance of the Russians. Otherwise, the productivity of labour would be too low, and all the old shit based upon shortage and poverty would re-emerge. And the people would raise a banner and say, bring back the exploiters. We live freer and better under the exploiters than under communism. And therefore that contradiction lay at the heart of the development of those countries that claimed to be socialist in the 20th century. And perhaps were socialist, developmental socialist economies. China, after and the reason why China was poor, first you ask yourself, Alan was saying China was poor, and yet it had 5,000 years of civilization. It had those skills. It had an extremely intensive agricultural sector. It had people who did garden farming for thousands of years. They had Chinese medicine. They had scientific discovery. Joseph Needham wrote an entire encyclopedia, Science and Civilization in China, in which it was found that everything from football to the compass to the bomb was invented in China. And yet, China remained poor. How can that be explained?